Okay, welcome to week 9 of MPAI 5600 here at Georgetown University. The only announcement, current intelligence paper is due November 10th. So you got about a couple of weeks, 1,500 words. I'm going to release it today, or we'll release it this week. So it's several topics. You can write about terrorism, cyber, business, or criminal intelligence. But I can also let you write about the Capitol Hill failure as well, if that's what you're interested in. So that's due November 10th. Again, I think we've given a lot of guidance, so it shouldn't be too big of an issue going forward. So just the papers. So I've graded most of them. I'll get the ones that were a little bit late to me. I'll get those done early this week. But some were good, some needed work. I'm going to be honest, some people really need to look at originality, analysis, as opposed to giving me history lessons, and look at the strength of the writing. And one of the things that always comes up is passive voice. I'm not going to tell you, people think they know what passive voice is. I'm just going to say what it is. This top sentence is an active sentence. Subject, verb, direct object. This is a passive. Direct object, verb, subject. Okay? If you read a whole book or article with a bunch of passive sentences, it's going to be hard to follow. Active sentences where the subject and the verb are right up front are what make your writing much more crisp. Show me how the failure specifically contributed to the intelligence failure. Get into the details. The decisive variable. If you're going to do Pearl Harbor, the inability to share information from Washington to the commanders was the reason the Pearl Harbor intelligence failure happened, and then lay out the evidence on that thesis. Don't just give me Pearl Harbor happened because of X, Y, Z, A, B, C, blah, blah, blah. No. Make a decisive thesis and then back it up with evidence. Number 3, I don't have it here, but if you're going to use a case study outside of the class, just let me know. I'm amenable to it. I think I mentioned it, but just let me know if you're going to do that going forward. And then what reasonable decisions could use to mitigate the risk? So again, if you think these were the indicators, this was the failure, okay, now if I'm the policymaker or military leader, what could I have done if I had that information that was reasonable? We talked about Capitol Hill last week. Again, if you say that it's the organizational failure in Capitol Hill, and you say that, well, the FBI and DHS didn't share information with Capitol Hill police. Okay, if I had that information, I would have done X, Y, Z. I would have put additional fences, call people in off of leave, do these, preposition riot gear, all these things that I could have done if the information was shared to me. You have to tell me that. A bunch of you did, outside of the class, the September 2021 or August 2021 Afghan failure. Great topic. Why were those intel estimates so off that predicted that the Taliban wouldn't take Kabul for 18 months to 2 years after the withdrawal? So one, you got to tell me why they were off, but two, if the intelligence was accurate and said that Kabul would fail within months after withdrawing, what decisions could have been made earlier? And many of you said, you could have said, would have given decision space to do an evacuation. It could have provided more data to the Afghan government. It could have done other things as well. But you have to tell me that in your paper going forward. So previous week, again, we talked about CompStat. What was the decisive factor? Again, many of you said CompStat just because it was a focusing factor for police and it was a method of accountability. But again, there's problems with that. As I mentioned, altered reports in CompStat. Whenever you give bonuses, you give money for incentives, whether it's in fighting crime or raising test scores or this, you're going to have people who either directly alter the reports, number one, or number two, people are going to change the dynamics so that their reports are increased. Again, if I'm a police guy and I get investigate, or I get a bonus for if there's a decrease in crime in my sector, well, I could change the sector boundaries. I can change the sector boundaries relative to the criminal gangs. Maybe they're not committing crimes in my sector, but that doesn't affect crime in the next sector over. So there's all sorts of little things you could do to alter reports to make yourself look good. And that was one of the problems with CompStat. And the other thing is, what other factors led to the decline in crime? Many of you have brought up other factors, from the economy to lead to the use of antipsychotics in treating mental illness to the abortion issue. All those other factors may have played a part outside of CompStat. I will just say, if you're going to look at this, if you're going to say CompStat was it, and you're going to write a paper on it, you have to tell me, okay, CompStat was implemented here, or broken windows was implemented here, etc., and it led to a decrease in crime here. It was not implemented here, and during that same period, there was an increase or crime level stayed the same. Look at it as you're a social scientist. So, week 9, preview for this week, cyber intelligence. First is the Russian election attack of 2016. So what I want you to do is look at that incident and ask, where was the intelligence failure? Where did the failure occur in the intelligence cycle? Was it in the requirements, collection, organization, analysis, politicization? And then apply it. There's another election going on. Are we seeing this now? And again, you might need to look a little bit at some other stories as well. The second point is ransomware. And you're going to ask you to assess vulnerabilities for units that might be impacted by ransomware. I have some case studies in the reading, but you might need to look maybe a little bit further than that. So let me know if there's any questions or issues. And I look forward to, finish your papers, and I look forward to this week's discussion.